Item 5. Progress update of the construction of Shatin to Central Link. There are 3 papers tabled. So may I ask the administration to brief us on the progress update? Under Secretary. In September, we submitted a paper to subcommittee on the progress up till June 30th, and today we are reporting to you on the latest. And after I've spoken, the MTLCL will give you a briefing on the progress and challenges faced. In the Pt2 archaeological finds earlier, that caused a delay to the project up till September 30th this year. MTLCL is still assessing the Towway to Admiralty, the possible delay of 11 months, and also the additional funding incurred because of the archaeological finds. But the actual impact will be dependent on the outcome of the investigation. Highways Department will continue to liaise with MTLCL on the work. Hopefully that the MTLCL can catch up with the delay and also minimize the delay cost. As for the Hong Ham to Admiralty Station section, having considered the CDD's works in the Wencha area and also the works needed for the exhibition station, the latest estimate is that, according to the MTLCL, the exhibition station completion and also the Hong Ham to Admiralty Station will be delayed for about 6 months. Therefore, the Hong Ham to Admiralty Station will be commissioned by 2020. And as for the additional funding incurred, the overall delay may also incur further additional funding.
The MTRC is reviewing the costs, as, for example, in respect of the conservation of archaeological finds at Pt2 Line, and also the increase in the cost for the exhibition station and the delays, and also the cost increase arising from the difficulties encountered because of the complicated project nature. As at the 30th of September, 40% of the project have been completed. The remaining parts will still be met with difficulties. So we have to reassess, and we'll be able to come up with more accurate assessment in the latter half of 2017. As the remaining parts of the funding is insufficient to meet the outstanding costs, we would ask the Highways Department to assess the further report with the assistance of consultants. We will be seeking additional provisions from this Council in 2017 to 2018 so as to complete the remaining parts of the SCL project. I'll now defer to MTRC to report on the progress. I'll ask my colleague Mr. Lee Chi Ming and Mr. Wong to brief members on the latest progress with regard to SCL. Chairman, members, SCL is a large-scale and complicated project. The scale is unprecedented. We're not just building the tunnels and stations. We have to reprovision different community facilities and some conversion work. For example, we have to increase the West Rail train to 8 compartments. And for Ma'anshan to the MOT, we have to improve the facilities. All these are reprovisioning work has been completed. SCL includes a lot of work. The modification to 5 railway lines, and there are 5 transfer stations. And because of the unexpected problems, there have been many challenges. As at the end of October, SCL has been completed up to 65%. The progress is smooth. We believe we can meet the commissioning dates of 2019 and 2021 for the east to west sections. 80% has been completed. In 2017, we will reach the peak period of installing E&M facilities. As for the north-south corridor, we have increased the number of cars to 10 in the West Rail system. And also for the Mon-Shan line, we are now trying out the additional 2 cars to the train during morning hours. And as for Hong Kong to MOT section, it's 40% completed. Next year, we're going to see a lot of underground utilities, relocation, and tunneling. It's a major challenge. For the Cross Harbour section, the precast construction will start next year. From Exhibition Center to MOT will start next year. For the MOT stations, some of the installations have been completed. The SCL team has overcome many difficulties, but there are still many challenges ahead. But we will do our best to complete this project, which will benefit the community at large. I'll defer to my colleague to report on the progress for this Shatin section. This is a Hin King station. We're doing the building services and E&M conversion works, and then we are going to install the platform doors. And the tunnel leading to Hin King station has been completed. The tunnel between Hin King and Diamond Hill, it has been completed. We are now laying the tracks. Diamond Hill station, a new station. After the topping up in September, we are now proceeding with the building services and E&M installations, and we're also going to build new entrances. Wong Tai Sin to Kowloon City, the tunnel between Diamond Hill to Kai Tak, we are now laying the overhead cables. Kai Tak Station, major construction has been completed. We are now doing the laying the tracks and also doing the renovation. This is Kowloon City section, To Kwa Wan Station. This is the most challenging part. We are doing the structural work for Kowloon To Kwa Wan stations. 80% of the structure has been completed. To Kwa Wan to Ho Man Ti Tunnel. It was complete. It was the tunnel was completed in August. We are now laying the tracks for the upward position. Matawai Station. We are now doing the building services, E&M, and renovation for the upper level platform. The excavation for the lower platform is now going on. It will be completed this year, and then we would then proceed with the construction of the platform structure. At Hong Kong, there will be 2 tunnels to form the east-west and north-south corridors. The east-west tunnel, the one shown by the dotted line, the structural work has been completed. And the north-south corridor, the blue line, we have completed the excavation, and now we are doing the structural work. For Hong Kong Station, it's the transport station for north-south corridor. The south platform has been completed, and it was commissioned in March this year. The conversion to the north platform is now progressing well. It will be completed in the first year of 2017. For the SEL new platform, we now completed the excavation work. Cross Harbour Tunnel, the precast elements at the Shed O will be completed in first quarter next year, and they will be transported to the harbour for installation. Exhibition station. We have diverted some of the facilities for the vertical wall construction, and the main structure for the new stadium has been completed. to tie in with the 8-car system for East-West corridor. We have converted to 7 trains. And for the Mount Shan line, for the conversion to 8-car system, we have extended the platform and it's now in use. We are now installing platform doors at the Mount Shan stations. For East Rail, we have procured 32 trains which was shipped to Hong Kong last year. We now carry out tests to the new trains. At all the platforms of East Rail, we are testing the installation of platform screen doors. And in the middle of the night, we would carry out installation and trial tests at Taiwan and other stations. And the new tracks have been laid. At the end of October 2016, the completion ratio for SEL is 65%. Because the implications from the archaeological work, we believe that the East-West corridor will be commissioned in 2019 because of the delay in the transfer arrangement and the project at the exhibition stations. The north-south corridor will be completed in 2021. All right, a supplement from other representatives from the government? No. A number of members would like to ask questions. Mr. Chen Hapan and a number of other members. Edward, you as well. 4 minutes. Ms. Claudia Mo. Thank you, Chairman. Because of the archaeological finds, we are going to have cost overrun and delays. I think we can tolerate that. It's not like the previous one, saying that the ground conditions were unexpected. It's a well-known fact that SCL will suffer. We have to get additional funding. Do you have a ballpark figure as to the total cost overrun for the SCL? Some say that the total amount would be $20 billion. Is that going to be such a big sum? As Ms. Mo has said, you only know the ground conditions after you have dug into the ground. And also, in Kowloon City, there were archaeological finds that was also unexpected. I think that would do. And therefore, we have experienced delays and cost overruns. Not that we want to have the problems. It goes to show that underground conditions can be very complicated. As I've explained, according to the MTRC, especially for the Hokham to MOT section, the Cross Harbour section, only 40% has been completed. For the remaining 60%, they will have to overcome engineering problems. They can only come up with a more accurate next year. I know you can't be accurate at this stage, but what about some rough estimate? There will be a big difference if it's 10 billion rather than 20 billion. Can I finish the sentence first, Chairman? In the latter half of the next year, they will be giving us figures so that we can assess the overrun. I will ask MTR to see if they've got any ballpark figures. Do you have any ballpark figures? Or are we going to be very much alarmed by the cost overrun figures? For the north-south corridor is from Causeway Bay to the other side of the harbour. We have just completed 40% of the project. Any estimate at this stage is not going to be well grounded. We can only come up with the estimate in the latter half of the next year and we'll submit the figure to the government. So you're not going to answer my question. At first, you have a $7 million for contingency and adjustments, or 700, and can you reduce the management cost by $200 million? Well, it's just paying your left pocket with your right pocket. I know there must be some legal basis for you to do this. The government owns 75% of the shares of MTRC. So the government wants us to provide additional provisions, and the money will be paid to MTRC, which is 75% owned by the government. So can you work out something administratively? Well, we still have another item to deal with, XRLs, so I have to extend the meeting by 15 minutes. The last member who would like to speak in this round is Mr. Yu.
Come on.
Well, nobody answered Claudia Mo's question just then, but I don't want to make things difficult. I'll just ask you something that you should be able to provide an answer for. The Shatin Central Link is Non-Subcommittee Line. There has been also mentioned that it will have additional costs I know that to prepare for the 8-car train in the future, on the Ma-on-Sha line, the car stops actually earlier on to accommodate the future 8-car trains. But the result is, during peak hours. If you take a look there at the platform, you can see that the entire Ma-on-Sha line during peak hours, the passengers every morning when they try to get onto the train, they have to run, from an empty lot of the line, from the empty platform to the front of the platform where the cars are. Is it necessary for people to have to run from an empty section to where the trains are, the cars are? And also, every morning, if you go to the note in Taiwan Station is like MOT station now. So if in the future you're going to have 8-car trains instead of 4-car, then there'll be more people at the station, and the situation at Taiwan will be even more congested. So the MTRC, I'd like to ask you, have you got any arrangement like what Greg Soul said to us, that people just have to wait for more trains? But have you got any solution for the congestion there? MTRCL, please. This is a technical issue, and may I be asked Mr. Wong to answer. Thank you, Mr. Yeung and Chairman. For the Ma-on-Sha line to change the train from 4-car to 8-car, that can double the capacity, and that means more services for people living in Ma-on-Sha. As for where the car stops, and indeed we are bringing the 8-car train, and so we also need to carry out testing now. Therefore, we have to alter the signaling systems to change where the cars stop now at the platform, so that we can have the testing carried out at night. But the testing is now at the end, so by January there will be 2 8-car trains will in service. So we hope that there will be new fleets coming on stream. So hopefully by 2017 all the 4-car trains will be converted into 8-car, so that all the passengers will be able to get on board anywhere on the platform. The capacity will be doubled. As for Taiwan Station, back to the issue. Now that we are having 8-car train, all the cars will actually occupy the space at the platform, so people can take advantage of that. For the East-West corridor, once it's commissioned, people can take the train all the way to Diamond Hill or Kai Tak. That means more passengers will remain on the cars in Mont Shan, and there'll be few people changing train at the East rail line. But before you go to Diamond Hill, you said that the passenger volume will be doubled. That means the Taiwan station will be more like Admiralty. Have you got any solution for that? Any special arrangements? MTLCL for the Mont Shan line, the patronage there will remain unchanged. So basically, but just then you said the passenger will be number will be double. Well, I'm talking about the volume that can be accommodated, not the actual patronage that will be doubled. Helena Wong, paper 7, number 7, where it mentions the government's monitoring mechanism. Just then I was asking for MTL projects, whether it's the South Island Line or the Shatin Central Link. We've seen delays and requests for additional funding. So for the project delays and cost overruns, whose responsibility is it, for the monitoring? And when you asked the additional funding, we didn't discuss it, and now we are on this item. I think the government is trying to distract our attention. It's because of your bad monitoring that we have seen the inability to monitor costs. And now that you are here, you've just asked us for additional funding. And you also fail to monitor the progress. Neither can you monitor the cost control. Therefore, well, we just think you said you had a good monitoring mechanism. But in this paper, I can see in writing, the Highways Department is supposed to monitor MTLCL when it comes to progress and cost control and so forth. And the government also has a cost control committee, and there's also an auditing consultant outsourced by the Highways Department. Given that, the MTLCL should have done a good job. In fact, that's not what happened, though, because your contingency fund for Shatin Central Link rose from $737 million to increase by $500 million. It's a 75% increase, approximately. For the South Island Line, it's really ridiculous, the amount of increase. Concern, you can calculate it. They're way beyond the original estimates. So does it mean that there are problems with the monitoring mechanism? And that's why you're here applying for additional funding? Do you think that, or can you tell us whether you think the monitoring mechanism is effective enough so that there won't be further requests for additional funding or delay? Chairman, to make it clear, each line has its own needs, and there are different reasons for the delay or cost overruns. A main reason for the delay for the Shatin Central Lane is because of the discovery of archaeological treasures there, and that actually was something unexpected and incur huge costs. And there are also changes in construction costs. So if actually when we are here to apply for the actual funding later on, we can give you a breakdown of the additional costs. But as for the monitoring system itself, how we can make sure that it'll be more effective and prudent, I would like to ask the director to supplement. Director? Just then, the Undersecretary mentioned that for this project, and also as like others, whether more funding is needed or not, and also whether additional time is required. All these actually are really not equivalent to whether or not to just imply whether there are problems with monitoring. There are really scenarios that could not be foreseen. So should unexpected scenarios happen, that would have implications for cost overruns or delay. In terms of monitoring arrangement, at different stages. Whether in terms of the progress, please be quick. Well, in terms of expenditure, we do actually play a monitoring role. Chairman, I haven't heard from them how. They haven't convinced me that the monitoring mechanism is effective. I'm not talking about the archaeological finds, but the post-tender cost control, you fail to actually exercise that. Next one, sorry. There have been reports lately that Shatin Central Link could have a cost overrun of up to $20 billion. So the public is very much concerned about the actual construction cost. I think on the surface, the archaeological finds will lead the cost to increase by $4.1 billion. And there's a $480 million for the advanced work. So we need an additional $6.24 billion to cover the costs. And only 40% of the project has been completed. So according to the reports, there's a chance that we have to pay that much. So that is really worrying. When we discuss XRL, we mentioned checker monitoring mechanism. And there seems to be flaws in the mechanism itself, causing the government to be unable to come to grips with the progress of the entire project. So in the entire process, particularly in the experience of XRL, has the government learned any lesson or experience in enhancing its monitoring? And secondly, if we are to monitor the entire project, I mean, a lot of manpower will be needed. I remember last year, the relevant government department asked for additional manpower to increase monitoring, but because of opposition in LegCo, that proposal was defeated. So the railway office in the end did not bring in additional staff. So do you have enough staff indeed to monitor or to handle the complex project? Highways Department, please. Thank you, Chairman. You asked us about what we learned from the XRL project. Indeed. Well, there was a select group formed back then that provided us with much valuable opinions, and we have optimized our project monitoring now. Let me highlight some of the new measures that we've undertaken for the Shatin Central Link. As I mentioned just then, we do need more manpower to actually help us with the monitoring work. We have added to the members of a team. And for monitoring, for the Shatin Central Link, every month we report to the Transport and Housing Bureau on the progress made. And we've also adopted a traffic light system to make it convenient for the Bureau to understand about what's happening to the project. We've also liaised with the MTRCL's project team, and we've stepped up our liaison with the particular project team. Every month in our monitoring meeting, we actually go through more detailed data. The Highways Department has also arranged our auditing consultant to attend our monthly meeting on monitoring the project, so that our consultant can know better about the progress made and also provide input. We've also set up a special working group comprising a consultant and various relevant parties, so periodically we can review the progress made and also the entire plan. Sorry, I think we have to save time. Next one, myself. Mon-Shan Line being extended to Hong Kong, you said that it won't be commissioned till 2019, end of 2019, right? Is it? Yeah. Yes, 2019, yes. But we'll try to get it done earlier. The Hinking Station seems to be going on smoothly. Diamond Hill Station is also going on smoothly. And many people have asked why, for the Mon-Shan Line going to Taiwan, why can't you open the section to Hinking and Diamond Hill first? Because once you are at Diamond Hill, you'll be connected to the Kwun Tong Line. That will be another world that opens up people to another world. Everyone is awaiting that.
Then Israel is connected to the Diamond Hill and Kwun Tong. You don't have to wait until 2019. And I don't know whether 2019 is going to be achieved. Last time I asked this question, and you said there was no tunnel for turning back of the train. But you can do some planning. It was the same with Yamate Station. So you can the train enter the station and back out again. So please respond to this question. And for the signaling system upgrade for Israel, well, it's a major challenge because no one has tried to upgrade the signaling system in such a busy railway line without suspension of service. So you are going to do this, you have to do it 3 times a week, and then you have to switch back to the original one after the upgrade work. And if there's a problem, you are going to have thousands of passengers affected in the morning. You are now looking into the risk management, and my question is, when are you going to start the test? What's your fallback position? If on one morning you cannot revert back to the old system, what would you do? I would defer to this question to MTRC. Can you link it up with Diamond Hill as soon as possible? Well, we've been looking into this. For the SEL, it's a 16 km in length. There are major difficulties. Maybe I can ask Mr. Wong or Dr. Wong to supplement. Well, the phase commission is restrained by certain factors. Although the stations, such as the Diamond Hill, the structural work has been completed, but we have to install the E&M facilities and the renovation. But that's the point. You don't have to wait until 2019 to do it. And the new siding is in Hong Kong, and Highway Depot is supporting the Mon-Shan Line. But you can do it just like Yamate. And we don't have sufficient trains to support such an operation, and we will affect the frequency. So if you have to wait until the whole line up to Hong Kong is completed, I don't think that's the right approach. How about the upgrading of the signaling system? When will you start? For Fortan Racecourse and Taiwan, we are carrying out the tests at night. So every morning you have to switch back to the old system. Yes. And there's been no problem. Yes, because we have put in some measures after switching back to the old system. What if on one day, on one morning, you cannot switch back to the old system? What would you do? We have got some operation system as contingencies. Mr. Lau Kok Fan. I'm also concerned about the early completion of the signaling system upgrade. And instead of 12 cars, you are going to have 9 cars for SCL. You are saying that you can rely on the upgrading of the signaling system to increase the passenger capacity. but there are more and more passengers for East Rail, quite exceeding your original expectation. And people in the district are concerned whether the new, the enhanced system can cope with the increase in ridership. Maybe we should have a mix of the 12-car trains and 9-car trains, and not all of the departures have to start from MOT. Under the SEL project, we are going to replace the signaling system and the trains for East Rail. And after crossing the harbour, we have no space to build stations for 12-car trains, and we cannot go make a turn around at exhibition station. And the new trains will be different from the current 12-car trains. With the platform doors installed, we would have matched the platform doors with the new trains. If we continue to use the 12-car trains, it would not fit with the new station and platform doors. I know that you cannot allow for 12-car trains when the train crosses the tunnel. But what about terminating some of the service at Hong Kong? But that would make things even more complicated when the train has to make a turnaround. For example, if there's a 12-car train having to turn around, and the next train to come has 9 cars, this would affect the capacity. I don't have sufficient time. I will leave some other details next time. As Dr. Elizabeth Kwok has also asked the same question. For the Mont Saint trains, you are going to increase the number of cars from 4 to 8, but the original entrance and the escalators are designed to cater for 4-car trains. Are you going to change the entrances and escalators to tie in with the change? All the entrances and the overall facilities were designed to cater for the need of the population figure in 2031. So we planned for all those who can access the station within 500 meters. So we would not expect any major change in the number of passengers using Mont Saint Line. At Tai On Shan and Hang-On stations, there was suggestion to increase the number of entrances. We explained to the District Council that even that in 2021 the entrances utilization rate will just be 20%, so it's not cost effective. On the 18th of last month, there was a report saying that for the SEL, the cost overrun will be $20 billion. So on a per kilometer basis, it's a $5.8 billion in cost. It's even higher than that for XRL. Has the government asked the MTRC to come up with an estimate? You sort of know how serious the delay is. I know that for the north-south corridor, it's just 40% completed, but you must have some estimate. Chairman, we have learned from the press that a figure has been suggested. We think it's curious, so we have tried to learn more. We have set out our position in the reply. The MTRC can only give us estimates. in the latter half of next year, because the whole Cross Harbour section is only 40% complete. In February, originally, the MTRCs would have to complete the cost estimate on SCL in February, and there was a point about internal audit problems. What problems are they? In the past, the estimates were made on the basis of project progress, and a number of factors were involved. For SCL, for the north-south, the cross harbour section, because we are subject to the influence of certain external factors. At the exhibition station, we need to handle traffic conversions to tie in with the Central Wan Chai bypass, and some of the sites have yet to be handed over to us. So for the north-south corridor, it's only 40% completed. We still need more time to come up with a more accurate cost estimate to be submitted to the government. You have already conducted the ground investigation, right? The site has been handed over to you. But we need to carry out traffic management measures. Well, is the site already there? Well, it's a reclaimed land. Well, I don't think they would lay a trap for you. Would there be suddenly the unforeseen ground conditions? Well, we need to carry out the investigation later. So the land will be reclaimed, and then it will be handed over to you for north-south. Well, so it's the outstanding issue. You cannot tell us whether the cost overrun will be $20 billion because you have to carry out traffic diversions there. Oh no, there are other factors for different items. What do you mean by internal audit problems? Please. I don't know what they are driving at. The cost estimate is being prepared. We need to see some progress in the project first before accurate estimate can be made. As Mr. Alvin Young has said, you can't get water by drilling a rock. On the 27th of June, there was a reply given to a question to come up. They cannot come up with an accurate cost estimate in 2016, and the government is in the dark with regard to the total project cost. And now you're saying that you come up with an accurate assessment of the cost in the latter half of 2017. But I think the MTRC is paid according to milestone. But even if you cannot get the accurate ultimate cost, you can tell us the milestones and what milestones have been affected and what's the cost implication if milestones are amended. Second, on the project cost, you can give us the critical path analysis, then we know which items, which critical paths of the project are affected by the archaeological finds. So at least we will have some initial indication and information that certain items under the project would likely to be affected. And also, can we have an independent quantitative surveyor making reports to you so that you no longer say that you are in the dark about certain things? Under Secretary, there are two parts in the Mr. Yu's questions. I'll ask MTRC to see whether they can come up with the required estimates. As for the monitoring work of the government, by the government, I'll ask the Director of Highways to say something. Yes, under every contract, we are going to get payment based on the milestone payment approach. So every month we are going to get some payment in accordance with the contract. And because of the conservation of archaeological finds or other factors such as the handing over of the work site, the monthly payment according to the milestone payment approach, it will be different. Every month will be different. And if there's any addition or change to the design, we will need time to exchange views between us and the contractor, and then we can tell whether the claim should be accepted and a certain amount should be granted, and then we can ascertain how much they can be granted according to the milestones. But let's get the information first instead of waiting for another few months. Director, our verification consultant has got a team involving 3 quantitative surveyors to help us monitor the expenditure. So there's no question of you are in the dark. Can we ask the 3 surveyors to come to explain things to us? There's no question of you being in the dark.
Would you like? The government claimed that the monitoring system involves monthly meetings to look at the latest progress. It seems like the financial data presented at the meetings are based on the original plan. Any variations may not have been updated. So there isn't this check-the-checker approach involved. Is my understanding correct or not? And also, every month, your so-called assessment of the financial situation, what does that actually entail? And also, I'd like to ask the Highways Department. Based on our last XRL investigation, we found out why the progress wasn't monitored and cost control was beyond expectation. The main factor was because you didn't have the critical path analysis. You were not aware of the master plan. So within your monitoring team in the Highways Department, do you have knowledge of those data? And also, have you received any information on the risks of delay and any mitigation measures that have been undertaken? And also, how big are the risks and how long a delay there could be? Director? Thank you, Chairman. Member asked about the monthly meeting that we have with MTRCL. All along, we've been looking at their expenditure. As for the overall expenditure for the entire project, all along we've been liaising with MTRCL to get the information needed, and the company, well, as mentioned earlier on, it had to wait till the middle of next year before they can have an ultimate estimate. Sorry for interrupting. 2 parts to my question. One is, when you discovered the archaeological finds in Tokau, I understand that because things changed since then, but you are getting an update every month on the financial situation. So in your monthly financial report, I know the MTRCL might have made changes to the plan. So I wonder whether the monitoring team in your department is up to date about changes in the financial risks. The information contained in your monthly reports. If there are any changes that could result in financial risks or increased risks, we do have a mechanism that under which whenever a certain amount is involved, they will need to come back to us to report to us. And I've also explained that we would actually provide opinions to the company as well. So exceeding by what amount would the MTRCL come back to you? And also, do you have any figure on the amount of cost overruns to date? Well, for the changes in, there are lots and lots of changes in all sorts of financial data. So at our monthly meeting, we didn't discuss every single amount, yes. But for every change that has been made, they would need to notify us. I know, but do they need to get your approval first for every financial change made? In our entrustment agreement, the MTRCL is responsible for managing the items for the project, so the Highways Department or the government should not be too involved, because it really comes down to, a share of responsibility. The Highways Department would provide opinions to the company, say when we notice that we disagree with how certain situations are handled, for example. Well, I need to end our discussion on this item because we still have one outstanding item. We've only got 25 minutes left now after the meeting is extended. And the XRL, I think we need to talk about it, but Chairman, why you know that this Shatin Central Link is a big project and much anticipated by the public. Chairman, would you think that we should have a thorough discussion on the Shatin Central Line, and if we have a meeting in January, then we can, in the January meeting, talk about the South Island Line issue and talk about XRL on another occasion, so we will have more time. Well, I have given you adequate time, 4 minutes each, and I've drawn a line. You've asked a lot of questions. If you keep asking, if they don't have the answers, then there's no point dwelling on it. I think there are a lot of people concerned about XRL. We don't know when there will be co-location and so forth. We don't even know when the line will be commissioned in 2018. And I don't think people can wait till that long, until we discuss it. Well, indeed, we asked about co-location in 2008. As you said, there's no point. Keep asking the same question. Do you have an answer on co-location? No, sorry, I was asking, do you want to talk about Shatin Central Link? Do you think that you can get more responses in the remaining time? Well, Chairman, I would suggest that maybe they can give us a written reply on the Railway Development Office after we've given them money last year to hire extra staff. Maybe we can be given additional reply from them on what they've done so far. Yeah, please give us a written reply. We've been reviewing and follow up on the Shatin Central Link. So I think we need to move on to the next item now. The progress update on the Guangzhou-Shenzhen-Hong Kong Express Rail Link. Okay, government and the MTR, you have 5 minutes. Please be quick. Chairman? Yeah, let me make a start first. Chairman, for this subcommittee, we have submitted to the paper to the third quarter of this year the construction of the Hong Kong section of the XRL. Since the third quarter of 2015, the Railways Department and MTRCL have aimed at commissioning the Hong Kong session by the third quarter of 2018, and they've continued to play a monitoring role. So far, the construction has been progressing smoothly. The Hong Kong section had actually 84.1% of the journey completed. So it's achieved 82.1% of the completion schedule. All the key contracts have been ongoing, and the West Kowloon Terminus is under construction. It remains the key contract of the entire XLL project, and the E&M works and other testing and trial run projects are also key sections of the project. Besides the Hong Kong section, the Wollongong to Maple Cross Tunnel section, that is from the border of Hong Kong all the way to Hong Kong, the tunnel in that part, the progress of that construction is also having an impact on the future testing of the Hong Kong session. The Railways Department and its monitoring consultants will continue to monitor the progress. Chairman, do we have time for MTLCL? Yes, MTLCL, please. I'll ask my General Manager to update you. Thank you. We submitted early on progress report to the third quarter, the end of third quarter of this year. Now I'll review to you the progress made till end of October and the milestones reached in November to let you know about the progress made so far. By the end of October this year, 85% of the overall works have been completed in line with the schedule, which aims at having the commissioning day in the third quarter of 2018. And we finished 90.8% of the civil engineering works and 64.2% of the E&M works. And so the main works are largely completed for the 72.8 kilometers line. By the end of October, we have laid 89% of the tracks. The main tunnel portion, that's the yellow portion, had completed the track laying on November 18. That is, all the track for the Hong Kong session have been laid. As for the West Kowloon Terminus, the overall civil engineering work, we completed 79.2% of it. But because of the massive scale of the terminus and the large volume of work needed, it remains the key to the completion of the entire project. The excavation work at the West Kowloon Terminus had completed, 99.4% of it have been completed, so there's still a little amount of excavation to be done. On the whole, progress is in line with our projected completion schedule. As for the entrance of the West Kowloon Terminus, we have manufactured all the precast units, and the assembling of the supporting framework, 90% have been done, and now we're working on the assembly work at the entrance to the south side and to the west side. And we are now carrying on with the assembly work. West of the entrance, we are actually erecting the steel for the glass structure. In November, we began installing the glass components at the entrance. In terms of E&M works, the track laying works have been completed, and now we're concentrating on the E&M works for the tunnel in the West Kowloon Terminus. And also, we are also carrying out testing in trial runs and also electricity works for the underground tunnel. From the Hong Kong border to the northern part, we are prepared to carry out testing of communication systems with the Shenzhen side. The Hong Kong section of the XLL, actually the train itself was sent to Hong Kong in September this year, and they are actually being placed in Shatin for assembly and also testing and low-speed motion testing. And second installment of the trains will be sent to Hong Kong in January next year. The electrical mechanical engineering works have had 64.2% of them finished. We're still faced with quite a number of challenges because from the border to Hong Kong, Shujing, the cross-border tunnel section in the mainland remains a subject of concern, and that could cause us to actually carry out additional works in the second quarter of next year. In the West Kowloon terminus, the EMN works are still underway. There are limitations to the engineering work there. Within the terminus, the transport of materials and engineering works needed require collaborations of all contractors. Now, as we reach the peak period for the electrical mechanical engineering items, and also we need more construction workers and other support. Sorry, I need to stop you. We don't have time. Now, let me read out the names of members with questions. Tanya Chen, Wu Chi Wai, Tin Bet Sun, Claudia Mo, Leung Kwok Hong, Adi Chu, Yu Chong Yim. 7 of us altogether. 2 minutes each. And see what we can do. If you don't ask questions today, you wouldn't know what's happening to the XRL project.
Ms. Tanya Chen, thank you. I have 2 minutes minus 10 seconds for your reply. What's happened to the co-location of immigration and C&E facilities? Well, it would involve some very complicated constitutional matters. The CMAB has been liaising with the mainland authorities in discussing the relevant matters. It's been 6 years. What are you still talking? Well, it's about to finish. At this point, it's not yet in a mature status. Well, it's about to finish, and yet you have got nothing to report? Well, German is about to be completed, and it's about to be completed. Well, we have spent so much money, and you're asking for more. What's so secretive about this? Well, it involves complicated legal issues. And members when make proposals, we need to consider those carefully, and we need to take up the matter with the mainland authorities in detail. This is totally irresponsible. You give us such an answer, even at this stage. I give you another 30 seconds to reply. Have you got any interim progress? Well, are you going to go for another NPCSC interpretation? Is that going to be what you are doing? I have nothing to supplement. Mr. Wu Chi Wai. Chairman, it's been said, no progress on the co-location of facilities. We are seeing another delay of 14 to 15 months. We have waited for 14 and 15 months, and no progress can be reported. For how much longer are you going to keep us in the dark? When can you expect to give us a reply on co-location of customs and immigration facilities? Do we need to have a local legislation to tie in with the new arrangement? Or when we have reached the mature stage, and we will come back to brief members. What has to be done in order that we can have co-location of the immigration and custom facilities in Hong Kong? Of course, this is our objective. So what kind of facilities and premises should be ready, will be looked into. And if there's a need to amend local laws, there will be time. There will be a lead time required. How much time would that need? How much time is needed in the ordinary sense? Are you going to expect us to have three readings in one go? Well, the time required differs, so I cannot generalize. So how much time have you reserved for the laws to be amended? Well, if we need to submit an amendment bill, we would do it in good time. So the commissioning the XRL in the third quarter of 2018. So the co-location is an issue that we can avoid no more. And I've heard that at the end of the year we are going to have an option to announce. I know that it involves serious legal issues. So I believe NPCSC must convene a meeting and authorize something to be done. Some concrete measures must be worked out with the SAR government. Usually we have a meeting every 2 months, and in February the agenda for March meeting will be discussed, and then if it's discussed in April, it's going to be too late. I believe the NPCSC meeting in December will have to discuss the matter and finalize things. So, Under Secretary, I understand that the agenda for the December meeting of NPCSC is not yet out. Have you heard about anything about the NPCSC meeting? Well, I'm not an NPC deputy, so maybe you know more than me in respect of NPCSC meetings. I'm not in a position to say anything, if at all, will be done by the NPCSC. Can you then? What can you do to ensure the 2018 delivery date? Well, when the matter reach a mature state, we would make an announcement. Well, I think they are totally insincere. They've got nothing to tell us. But what is making us angry is paragraph 26 of the paper. The mainland, the facilities for the customs and quarantine will be important, and the facility will hand it over to the mainland authorities. So you're going to do it, but how? I don't know. I'll tell you later. Apart from local legislation, or even it would require certain action on the part of NPCSC, there must be a consultation stage. Instead of presenting a fait accompli, I've built everything. I have all the signs telling that this is the way to mainland quarantine and customs facilities. And if we complain, the NPCSC can just promulgate a piece of legislation saying that co-location is okay. We can allow the mainland law enforcement agencies to work to enforce mainland laws in Hong Kong. But this goes against every political ethical standard. Well, of course, Mr. Yao, you are not to blame personally, but we must censure the government. Well, discussion has been going on for 7 and 8 years, and now we are approaching the end. And Mr. Leung, go home. Well, there's a serious problem of cost overrun with XRL. We said that this project would be difficult, would be costly. It will, of course, give the MTRC a very nice site for development. And now we have a serious cost overrun. We now know that this choice of the Kowloon station is a big problem. The loyalists are saying that we are lagging behind. Other places on the mainland are having a nice XRL network. I don't know whether it has to do with the problems on our part or Mr. Wang Guangya. If we cannot, well, are you delaying the commissioning of the XRL because you cannot resolve the problems related to the co-location of facilities? According to the plan you presented to this council, passengers can already go to the mainland to take to use the mainland XRL there. I know now why you want to evict me, because I said you are talking nonsense. Can you confirm that the XRL should have been commissioned? And if you commission the XRL today, you have no law to back you up, because you cannot handle issues about co-location. According to paragraph 26, the MTRC and the relevant departments are liaising with the mainland authorities to handle the relevant matters. MTRC, what are you talking to them about? We need to talk to the mainland authorities because the XRL would link up Hong Kong and the mainland. So our trains will be serving short haul journey, say to Guangzhou, and also to further up north and other stations. We are going to test run our trains, and the test run would take our trains to the mainland. Paragraph 26. We're talking about the construction of the facilities for mainland custom and excise, quarantine, and immigration. At the West Kowloon station, we have already reserved space for the mainland facilities to handle immigration, customs, and quarantine. Can you tell us more about the discussion with the mainland authorities? We have been talking to them about the C&E facilities. So you want to make provision for co-location of facilities. Yes, for Kowloon terminus, that's been provided for. I hope the government and MTRC can update us on the entrustment costs and also the mediation to be handled at the end of the year, and the implications for the entrustment fee and other costs. There's an update up to the 30th of September. The total expenditure so far and how much has been done under the contract. The figures are updated every 3 months. Government, when you talk about mediation, I think you are talking about the additional provisions required by NTRC. We would like to complete the project as soon as possible, and then we'll complete all the legal procedures then either through legal channels or through mediation. I think the member is referring to this part, and that will happen after the project is completed. We want to go ahead at full speed, and we would not like to affect the project now. What about entrustment fee? In February, we came here to seek additional provisions. At that time, there was an adjustment to the entrustment fee. There's no further change, or the February fee level is the latest one. When would mediation take place? After completion or after commissioning? It would be after completion. We have to make sure the project is completed, and then commissioning will not be affected, and then we will try to handle the question of responsibility. I have to wrap up. It's exactly 1:15. Yes? Chairman, can we ask them to come back to report on the progress of XRL in the next meeting? Yes. They have to do this. All right, meeting's adjourned.